Hey guys, again. For those of you that were joining in live, thank you so much for your patience. Had a little microphone problems, but I'm Lauren Keplinger and I'm from Creative Mom Boss, and I'm really excited to be doing these Facebook Lives. I really like doing them, and I'm really, really appreciative of the people that do join in live. It's really fun for me to interact with people and get to know their problems one-on-one and just hear feedback from people. It's really fun. So thanks for joining. And today we're going to talk about Instagram, which I'm really excited to talk about because everyone loves to talk about Instagram. That's the number one thing I get asked questions about. Because I honestly think probably what it is just that social media marketing is such a 2018 thing, that people think that that is like the be all end all of marketing, which I kind of talked about in my post. Hi. How do you say your name? Will you like spell it out phonetically for me? Because I always see it, but I don't know how to say it. But yeah, so Instagram is great for your Etsy shop. I love Instagram personally and for my Etsy shop. So I'm really excited to talk about it. And I hope that you guys will ask questions so that I can answer them in real time. And anybody that is watching this after the fact, then I would also love to have any questions. I'm always willing to answer them in the Facebook group or through email or whatever. I have Cardine. Hi, Cardine. Yeah, so what I wanted to start off with Instagram. So if you are not familiar with Donald Miller, I actually only recently became familiar with him, but I think his stuff is so timely for our discussion about Instagram that I wanted to bring it up. He was actually on a podcast just the other day with Amy Porterfield, who I love. And so his name is Donald Miller. If you look up Online Marketing Made Easy with Amy Porterfield, it was the most recent episode, and I can link to that too. Once we're done, I'll find a link for it. But his book is called Building a Story Brand. I just ordered the book actually, so I haven't read it yet, but I'm really excited about it. But he goes through a whole lot of information about basically how you build a story surrounding your brand and your products, and you incorporate that story into all of your branding. So one of the really interesting things that I'd never really thought of, but it totally makes sense, that he talked about in this podcast with Amy Porterfield was the difference between being a hero and being a guide with your customers. So being the hero is like talking all about you and the things that you're doing or the things that you can do or the things, how your product is helping people or helping that specific customer. Whereas being the guide is putting the focus back onto the customer so that they see themselves in the product that you're offering or in the story of your brand. So I thought, so the example that he gave, which, just don't focus on the political aspect of this, but what he said was with Hillary Clinton, that the most recent election was a really good example of the guide versus hero thing. So Hillary Clinton's slogan was "I'm with her," but that puts the focus back on her. It doesn't allow you to really feel like you're the hero of that story. She's the hero of the story, and you're like a passive bystander. So, and then she lost, obviously. So I thought it was a really good example, because if you think back to like Make America Great Again, even, or Yes, We Can with Barack Obama, like both of those, it's like, I'm a part of this community. I'm a part of this movement. So anyway, I just thought that was really interesting. I would really recommend that you go listen to that podcast because it was really neat. I found it to be really helpful. So like I said, I'll link to that later when it gives me my little comment thing. So I wanted to talk about Instagram for Etsy sellers because that's what we all are. So I'm going to try to move my notes over a little bit so I don't have crazy eyes, because I always have crazy eyes on these things. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was that I think is really important with Instagram is to know when your specific audience is online. So that can be totally different depending on who you sell to, and it's really important that you know who you sell to, who your ideal client is. But it could be really different between, say, if you're targeting stay-at-home moms in California versus working moms in London. Like those are completely different time zones, way, way far apart from each other. So you're not going to be able to post for both of those people in posting at a prime time for both of those people to see. So it's really important that you know when your audience is online for your specific products. So for me, I sell baby stuff, but I would say even if you also sell baby stuff, your ideal client could be different than mine. So knowing exactly who you're trying to target and what their sort of life situation is, working versus staying at home, or the time zone is really important, or the country. I mean, obviously that kind of goes along with the time zone. But to just know that audience really, really well. And one way that you can do that that's really helpful also is to have a business profile on Instagram. It will give you those stats and tell you, like, it breaks it down with a little bar chart of what hours your audience is online and what days of the week too. So you might find that 3 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday is your most popular time, which would be really super random, but then you can try and schedule those posts during that time so that they get maximum visibility. Now, I will caveat that by saying that the way Instagram recently, I think within maybe the last year or so, maybe less than a year, I can't really remember when they did it, but they changed it so that it's not totally chronological. It's not chronological anymore. It used to be like if I post at 6 a.m. and somebody else posts at 6:05, it just goes in order. It's not that way anymore. So it does have more of an algorithm of like what's popular and what you're doing. But I still think it's important to sort of be engaging with people and interacting at the time that is important to your audience and when they're most engaged. So the next thing would be also having to do with your branding. So your Instagram should be a continuation of the brand that you have everywhere else on your Etsy shop. If you have a Facebook page that's active, any sort of email marketing that you're doing, whatever you're doing, you should have this consistent brand feel that goes along with what you're doing. So I would recommend that you sort of decide before you get super into Instagram and posting on Instagram, sort of what direction you want to go. And this can always change, just like anything else in business. This is not like you're married to this for the rest of your life, but some people do really well having a brand as like a lifestyle brand. They post pictures of themselves, they post pictures of their kids, they post pictures behind the scenes, whatever, things that they're doing, things that they're eating, whatever they're doing. I have never done that because I just don't, I don't know why. I just don't really, I guess I'm more private than that for my Etsy shop. And I don't, I've always just found that to be kind of difficult to come up with new things that are like always interesting. So, but if there are people that are just better at that than I am, and that are more outgoing or whatever, they sort of have that lifestyle image with their brand. And so I think it's important that you kind of decide what direction you want to go so that you're not just posting like 20 product post pictures and then like a random picture of you baking bread. So that it has sort of a theme that you're maintaining so that people know what to expect. I also think it's important that you keep a constant style of photography, and this would be true in your Etsy shop as well. But like I said, I think Instagram is just a continuation of that branding. So if you're always shooting stuff in front of a backdrop, or if you're doing some lifestyle images, you can have variety. I'm not saying like post the exact same pictures over and over and again, but I don't think it should be like a totally different look. Like some of them are really cheerful and colorful, and some of them are really moody and dark. And, it should sort of, people should be able to see sort of a theme of, and that has to go with your branding in general. So you should have a certain feel to your Instagram feed, and that starts with the product photography, because Instagram is such a visual platform. Whew. So the next thing, and I talked about this in my blog post to some, and I will continue to talk about it every single time we talk about Instagram, because I think that it is the most important part of Instagram. You have to engage with other people. They say that you need to be engaging with people like some exponential multiple of how often you're posting things. So I would recommend setting aside like 15 to 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be all at the same time. You don't have to sit down for 30 minutes and do it right then. but you could do 10 minutes 3 times a day or whatever, where you are liking and commenting and following people and just engaging. It is a social platform. So if all you're doing is talking at people, you're not going to get anybody talking back at you because they're not engaging with you because you're not engaging with them. So it is definitely a two-way street. And I think it's really important. And it's something that gets lost, I think, a lot of times, especially when people are first getting started with Instagram, because they're trying to yell into this social media platform with so much noise. And you think that in order to get found, you have to just have more posts, more captions, more whatever. But really what it is you have to have more relationships. And the way that you build those relationships is through engaging with people. So personally, I have found commenting works a lot better than just liking, especially if it's somebody that's more, has a busier Instagram account. So they wouldn't necessarily go looking at who is liking their photos, but comments do, they do attract that attention, and people will often like click through to your profile and look at the stuff that you have once you've commented. Now, I also said in the blog post, but I just want to reiterate because I think it's really important. It needs to be like a substantial comment, not just an emoji. I hate emoji comments. So I'm sorry if anybody's ever commented on my stuff with an emoji. I love emojis. I use emojis all the time, but emoji comments look like spam. So there are bots that you can hire that will go through and comment on stuff for you. But you have to input the comment, and then it does it automatically following certain hashtags. So it has to be super, super general because it's commenting on all these different kinds of posts. And a lot of times what people do with that is an emoji because it's super general. And if you give somebody a thumbs up, that could be applicable to anything on Instagram. So you can tell when people have fake comments because they have these random emojis that don't really fit, or they'll say something like, great job, great post, beautiful content. And it's a random picture of a bib. So it needs to be something you don't have to write a book to somebody. It just needs to be something what a beautiful color. I love this design, whatever you're saying that will engage people so that it shows that you are actually paying attention to the product that they posted or whatever their picture that they've posted and the caption that they've written to go along with it. So the engagement is super crucial. And I think that you will find a lot more success with Instagram if you really work on having that engagement with other users. So the next thing would be to then draw people to you. So I think a huge part of that, because Instagram is such a visual platform, is to have nice pictures. But I will say, if you ever look at my Etsy shop, Instagram is @FunkyMonkeyChildren. And I am a terrible photographer, terrible. And I have been doing this for 6 years and I have not gotten any better. I'm terrible. I have no interest in photography and I just can't find a way to make it better because I am just terrible. So I will say that I have had success building my Instagram, even with terrible pictures. But I do think that that's where it starts. And I've been on Instagram for several years now, so I think it gets harder the busier it gets. So I think really nice, good quality pictures, especially with good lighting and stuff. So it's not, especially product photography, because it needs to show the colors and the patterns and all of that stuff better, so well-lit photos in a styled way. If you absolutely can't, or you have a really limited number, there's also stock photos that you can use if you have something. And I use stock photos on my Creative Mom Boss Instagram quite a bit because it's not really about the picture, it's more about the caption. So it kind of depends on which direction you want to go in with your Instagram and sort of what you've decided is part of your branding. And, if you have say really inspirational messages or something and you want to do quotes and stuff, that would be different. So again, like I said about the Donald Miller building a story brand part, I think that, hang on one second. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. Let me read these. Are there a certain number that get more bot comments? Oh, a hashtag. Okay, sorry. I don't know. I have never found. So the question is there are there certain hashtags that get more bot comments? It doesn't hurt you to get bot comments. Like it's not like it hurts your Instagram account or anything. It's just really obvious that they're like not personal comments. So I think really general ones, like if you look for like super general Instagram hashtags like hashtag happy or pick of the day or whatever, those get a ton of them because there's a ton of posts. So the people that do those bots are just trying to interact with the most people. And so I also, like several years ago, I used to have, back when I used to work out a lot, I used to have a workout blog. And I would get a ton of bot comments on those. And they were like creepy bot comments. So I think it really just depends though. I don't really know. I've never found a pattern. And like I said, I don't really think it matters. It's not so much that the bot comments matter to you as a seller or as a Instagram account. It's more that you just don't want your comments to look like bot comments. So you want to make sure when you're commenting on other people's Instagram accounts that they can tell that you're actually paying attention to the content that they've posted and you're not just randomly and you're not using a bot to comment. So it's more that you want to make sure that your stuff is more personal than that. The other question, Corey asked, what's your Etsy store again? My Etsy store is Funky Monkey Children. So it's Funky Monkey Children on Etsy and it's at Funky Monkey Children on Instagram. So, okay. Okay, so the thing I was talking about before I went to read the questions, I just don't want to get them lost in the little thing that moves up on this Facebook Live. So is when you're posting comments, again, I think you should keep in mind the stuff that I talked about at the beginning with building a story brand. You want to make sure that you're appealing to the person that you're selling to. So your caption should be selling your product, but not really in a salesy way. Every single caption doesn't have to be like, buy this right now. Because why would somebody follow you if that was the whole account? But it should be sort of telling the story of your brand and again, appealing to that ideal customer so that they can see themselves in that product and why they would want to buy it. So this has to be sort of like a little bit subtle because you don't want to be like, hi, mom of a baby, here's a burp cloth because your baby spits up all the time. So yeah, so you want to make sure that it's sort of like they need to be able to see themselves in the story that you're telling with your brand, not so much like directly saying like, you need this because X, Y, and Z. Oh, thank you, Corey. Corey says my pictures are great. I would argue that they're marginal, but thank you. I appreciate it. I really do try, but it's just not my my natural skill set. So the next thing I want to talk about is using all aspects of the app, Instagram. So I kind of struggle personally a little bit to use the stories on Instagram just because, like I said, I don't do a whole lot of behind the scenes stuff with my Etsy shop Instagram account. So I struggle a little bit to know like what would be interesting to somebody or why would they be watching this. But I have recently tried to do that a little bit more just to have that engagement. Stories, I think, are kind of where it's at on Instagram these days. People really love video. There have been tons of like studies, research, articles, whatever, about video versus other kind of media platforms, and people are just really trending towards video. So I think that the Instagram stories are really important, and it doesn't necessarily, again, like people are on Instagram to have fun, to see visual things, it seems to me to be not like so heavy as Facebook, or like, I don't know, people aren't as emotionally charged as they are on Facebook a lot of times. So I think you can do like easy, simple stuff on your Instagram stories. This is not like, don't stress yourself out. It doesn't have to be like groundbreakingly interesting. So I don't know. I think that it's important to use it though, because I think it draws attention to your other feed, and people are more likely to look at your actual Instagram feed if they watch your stories. So, and then I wanted to talk about something that I tried. So I actually did this yesterday. This is like brand new information, but I have never done an Instagram live before, because I just don't see any reason to, I guess. I don't know. But I used to, back in the day when Instagram was chronological, I used to do flash sales on Instagram, and they were like crazy successful, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff sold in one night. And it was super easy because you post something and people see it right away, and life was grand. But of course, Instagram changed their algorithm like everything and makes it a lot harder to get seen. So I haven't done that anymore because it doesn't, you post something and people don't see it until later. And the flash sale thing just doesn't really work that well. So I had been reading some about people doing Instagram live sales. And I hadn't really tried it because, like I said, I haven't really used Instagram live. So it was just something that was sort of in the back of my mind, tossing it around. So I decided to do it before this Facebook Live, because I wanted to be able to talk about it and talk about what happened. So I did this last night. And if you go to my @FunkyMonkeyChildren Instagram account, all the stuff is still up there. I'm actually ending the sale this afternoon. But I advertised it a little bit ahead of time. I said, I'm going to have this flash sale tonight. It's going to be better than Black Friday for me because everything that I make is made to order. I don't like to have a really big rush at Black Friday because it's such a short period of time between Black Friday and Christmas that it makes it really stressful for me. And I have 3 kids, so I'm not trying to work up until like Christmas Day. So I would really love people to get their orders in early because that makes it so much less stressful for me. And I also know that this particular product that I did this Instagram live sale with is going to sell out because I didn't order enough. And I know that I'm going to sell out of them. So I advertised it that way. I'm going to sell out of this. If you want it, you need to get your orders in early. And I'm going to do this sale that's better than Black Friday. I did 10% off plus free shipping. So and I had my little code was IG Live 2018. And the only place that I advertised it was on that Instagram Live. So I know that the people that use the code had seen it there because that's the only place it was listed. So I ended up having I think it was around $400 in sales and it's still going on until this afternoon. So between last night, which I started this at 7:30 Eastern time, and then between last night at 7:30 and as of right now, I've had around $400 in sales of this one item. That it was only one item that I was selling on this Instagram Live. So I think that was pretty successful. I mean, I sell quite a few of these anyway, so some of those people may have bought them at other times or whatever, but that's a pretty big, a pretty big amount of sales in a short period of time. I mean, it was last night coming in, I was sitting on the couch with my husband and he was like, what is going on with your shop? Why? Because it was like cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. So, I've been selling on Etsy for a long time. So he's used to this cha-chings, but he was like, your shop is really busy tonight. And I'm like, yeah, I did this Instagram live sale. So I think it was pretty successful. Now I have a fairly large Instagram following. So, that helps a lot. But I think it's definitely something that I'm going to continue to try. And I think I might try it again, honestly, for Black Friday, because it's just hard to get people's attention in general. But that Instagram Live, the Instagram app notifies people when you go live. So it allows them to log on, even if they don't stay logged on. I think I had like 10 people that were there live, but then they see it, you can post it to your account and everything. So I thought it was pretty neat. It's definitely something I'm going to explore more in the future, but I just wanted to call attention to that because I think it could be a good way of interacting with people. And I honestly might try and start doing it a little bit here and there, kind of like these Facebook Lives, just to chat with people, just to hear their feedback. If I have a question, I like to really engage my community a lot with asking them about new products or like preferences between colors or patterns or whatever. So that's how I like to use it. And I think that the Instagram Live would get a lot more interaction. So so I thought that was kind of cool and kind of a neat feature. So I'm going to keep working on that, and I'll let you know if I do it again. But you guys can look at my Instagram account at Funky Monkey Children, and all of it's up there. The live is up there. It's on my stories. It's on my posts. I put it everywhere. So I'll probably delete it after. So anybody that's watching the replay of this, I'm sorry if it's not there anymore. But I'll probably delete it once the sale is over, just so people don't like continue to DM me and ask for the coupon code. So I wanted to talk, and I talked a little bit about this in the blog post, but I kind of wanted to expand on it a little bit about the mistakes that people make with Instagram. I think it's really hard on social media when you feel these expectations of what you should be, or this pressure of like what your community is expecting from you or how you should present yourself. I know for a long time, and I still do this sometimes, I fall back on it, but for a really long time on Instagram, I always referred, I was like the royal we is what it's called. So it's when you say, it's like when you refer to yourself as we. Apparently they do this a lot in England in general, but I obviously am not English. So for me, it was about feeling insecure about the fact that I am a one-woman shop working in my unfinished basement. And this is like very unglamorous shop life, even though this is a business for me and it's a fairly successful business at this point. So, but I felt this sort of insecurity about the fact that, oh, well, people want to be buying from this company, and I'm not a company, I'm just one person. And so I always referred to everything as we, because it like made me feel bigger. I don't know. But anyway, I think that there's this pressure when you're putting yourself out there in front of people to have this professionalism that I don't really think you have to have as an Etsy shop owner. Now I find that people are like, they refer to me by name when they leave me reviews in my Etsy shop, or they'll write me an email and be like, hey, Lauren, how's it going? Here's what I want to order. Or I have customers who have bought from me since I opened my shop almost 6.5 years ago, who have followed my kids through I had one child at the time. Now I have 3. And I actually had a customer email me the other day that was like, I can't believe your oldest kid is 7. I remember when he was only a baby and you were pregnant and all this stuff. So now I think it's kind of, that is what sets you apart. If people wanted to buy from a corporation, they could go down to Target and buy a gift. None of us are really like reinventing the wheel here. So what makes you unique is the small business, the customizability of your products, and the fact that they're working one-on-one with somebody who's creating something just for them. That is what they like. So I don't think it's as important to make yourself look like you are like running this factory that's mass producing these things. I think people like that one-on-one interaction. And also they know, my customers know that if they email me and say, this actually just happened yesterday. This girl emailed me and was like, hey, I love this item that you made for me, but the name is wrong on it. And I saw the picture and I'm like, yep, you're right, it is. I'll get you a new one out today. So I did that. And, they can do that. Whereas like if I order something from Pottery Barn that's monogrammed, they'll probably give me a refund, but it's not like they really care about it. So I think that personal aspect of it is a positive, not a negative. And you shouldn't cover that up on your Instagram and pretend like you are this corporation. And I even said, if you watch the Instagram live that I did last night, I said the last day for orders this year that I am taking, that'll ship before Christmas, is December 10th. They'll ship by December 14th. My kids get out of school then, and I am done. And I am going to enjoy Christmas with my babies. So, I'm not trying to pretend like I have like 10 people working for me, because I don't. Everything falls back on me. And I don't think that's a bad thing at this point. So, so I think that sort of, and I think that boils down to feeling like you have to present this perfect image of like, I have everything figured out and this is my company and everything is like nailed down, as opposed to just being able to say like, I'm learning as I go. I'm following this path that maybe is not a straight shot. I'm listening to my customers and I'm learning what they like and I'm trying to go in that direction. And so if you have suggestions or if you don't like something or you like something, let me know. But that's cool for people because they get the opportunity to help you develop that. And once they are a part of that, then you're golden, because once they have that buy-in, you could sell them anything. So, I also think sometimes people struggle, and I struggle with this at times, about what to post, especially if you're not super outgoing. I am a natural introvert. I don't use social media a huge amount in my personal life, although I like to look at other people's social media. So I'm not under the impression that everybody is like fascinated by what I ate for lunch today. So I think that can be a little bit difficult. It can be a struggle for people, especially people that are introverted. But I think that the key to it is, well, I really think what it boils down to is to really know your customer. If you really know your customer, it makes it so much easier to know what would be interesting to them, whether that's your product photography or things about your life that they find interesting, or things that just complement the rest of it. So for instance, I sell baby products. I could post other things. I'm not hugely active on my Instagram at this point because I'm more active on my Creative Mom Boss Instagram, and I only have so much bandwidth to be doing social media. But I could be posting, and I did for a long time, like complimentary bedding sets. I have this burp cloth set that's purple and gray. Here's a burp cloth or a bedding set from Pottery Barn that it matches. Look how well this goes together. Or, oh, you have a nautical themed baby shower. Here's a nautical themed burp cloth set that would be so cute with that. So sort of giving people ideas about how does this product fit into my life? How does this product go with, where do I see myself in the product? That is what it boils down to. So if you sell funny graphic t-shirts, what other kinds of things is somebody going to like that likes funny graphic t-shirts? Maybe they like funny coffee mugs. Maybe you could pair up with somebody who sells something in a complementary niche, but not competing. So you don't want to pair up with somebody who sells the exact same stuff as you, but in a complementary area where they can, somebody that's interested in your product would also be interested in that product, and vice versa. So, and I just think, or maybe, if you sell like sarcastic graphic t-shirts, they might also be like really entertained by funny memes. So, just thinking about what kind of things would somebody like that likes the things that I'm selling, what other kinds of things. But I also think it helps to schedule out your content in advance. I go through periods where I'm like feeling really creative, and I can pump out like 10 different posts, and then I'm good because I'm not usually not posting every day. So if I can schedule those out and it maintains a really consistent voice because I'm doing them all at the same time, and then that's taken care of for a little while and I don't have to think about it, and then I can do it again later. So my last mistake that I see people make, and I think this is also really common, is to just post like randomly and without any sort of point. Like they post a new product alert, and that's it. There's no sort of story. There's no real caption. There's no call to action. There's nothing. It's just this random post. So much like writing Etsy titles and tags and all of that stuff, you need to be thinking like a consumer as you're posting things. So when somebody is seeing your product on Instagram, your product photography, say you posted a new pair of boots, I don't know, whatever you make. So you have this new pair of boots. Why is somebody going to care? What do they need that for? Where does that fall into their life? And what do you want to do? What do you want them to do when you see? So that didn't make any sense. What do you want them to do when they see your post? So the goal usually, the goal in general is not just to have more followers oh my gosh, I'm having trouble talking, more followers and more likes. That's not ultimately the goal, because that's not going to make you any money. You're not going to make money. If you have 100,000 people that like your photo and nobody buys it, that's not a business. So the goal is to get people to your Etsy shop. Now, every single post doesn't need to be like, click here to shop or buy now. But that is the goal of the whole overarching story that you're telling from your Instagram account. So it is important to sprinkle in those calls to action, because people don't necessarily think that there's any sort of urgency, or, maybe they just push it down the road. I don't need this right now, or whatever. So there should be some salesiness, not all the time, not every day, but sometimes, to say, I only have 10 of these in stock. get yours now before Christmas, or click on the link in my profile to buy now. Something really direct so that they know I'm supposed to go from A to B. And there is so much noise and so much busyness on social media that a lot of times people do need that direction. Otherwise, they're just passively looking at your social media. And that's fine sometimes. You know, like I said, I don't think that you should have every single post be like, oh my gosh, this is the last one ever. Buy now, buy now, buy now. Or people are going to tune you out. But sprinkling that in some, there needs to be a path that they follow from your Instagram to your Etsy shop. So the goal is not just to build more Instagram followers. The goal is to get more sales. So keep that goal in mind as you're deciding what you want to post and how you're branding it. So that is all I have to talk about with Instagram today. I hope that that was helpful. And if you have any questions about Instagram, I would love to answer them. I'm always happy to answer. And also, if you want to leave your Instagram link, I'd love to take a look. So that's going to be the end of our Facebook Live today. I will be back next Friday to do another Facebook Live. I haven't decided on the topic yet, so I'll have to let you know later about that. But I really appreciate you guys joining live. And for anybody that is watching a replay, I appreciate that too. I will also link, after I get off of here live, I will link to my Mastering Instagram Roadmap. I have a download that you can do for free. It has a little bit of hashtag suggestions, some mistakes, and some suggestions, and sort of a path of step-by-step things that you should be doing to build your Instagram following. So thank you again for joining me live. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.